Welcome to another episode of Do You Really Know God? This episode is about patience, because we all know in the Bible, everything is about patience.
Yes.
So we're going to start off with Romans 12:12. Rejoice in hope. Be patient in tribulation. Be content in prayers.
Constant.
Constant.
There's a big difference in those two words.
I should have had my
Glasses
glasses
on.
on. Be constant in prayers. Sorry about that. Been quite the interesting day today.
Yes, it has. But, one of the biggest things, and my wife, Michaela, loves to throw this in my face because I can be pretty impatient sometimes. And she always says, patience is a virtue.
Yes, and it is. You gotta think about this. You're talking with God, you're talking with God, and talking with people about God. Hear people a lot of times be saying, "Yeah, I prayed to God and He didn't answer my prayer," and it's like, "Well, when did you pray to God?"
Yeah.
Well, this morning. Okay, and you expect Him to answer your prayer in 2 hours.
Right, and we've said this on the podcast multiple times, and I've heard multiple preachers say it multiple times. It's one of those things that us as Christians and people who speak the word kind of beat like a dead horse.
Yeah.
God works on His time, not your time. But, no matter how many times we say it, people don't seem to still grasp it.
No, and you gotta understand, God's time is a whole different time back virtue.
Yeah.
Time that man goes by is man-created time.
Yeah.
Think about that. God is in the time of the universe, which is not the same as time that you may consider.
Well, something I learned recently, actually, can't remember what video I was watching, but I was watching a video on YouTube, and it included church bells.
Yeah.
That was part of it somehow. But church bells back in the day were actually used as a time of meeting.
Yes.
They didn't have watches back before and after Jesus, during Jesus' time. They didn't have watches. They didn't have a big clock that was up and saying, "Hey, everybody, it's noon." They kind of used church bells.
Church bells in the sun.
Yep. They used that as a time like, let's say I needed to be at a job interview back in those days, if that was a thing.
Yep.
But instead of setting it up like, okay, 3:30, be here, they would set it up like when you hear the third bell ring.
Yeah.
When the sun is directly straight in the sky and
yep.
That type of thing.
One of the things is funny because you're going to do a TV show reference, which is, I think, good with this podcast we have today. It's called The 100. It's on Netflix. It's a series about the end of the world and the last people and this, that, and the other. Well, you watch it to the end, and it goes through this part at the end.
Spoiler alert, by the way.
Spoiler alert, sorry. I'm not going to give away the ending, but they come up with these people who kind of got into this paradox dimension, I guess we'd call it. They call it the anomaly, but you go into an anomaly and it's a paradox dimension where humans are actually living in it. But in this paradox, when you go into this paradox, time is different. Time is faster. So it showed like one of the characters went into this paradox, and they were in there, in the paradox, 3 months went by. But when they got back to Earth, to the normal Earth time, only a day gone by.
Well, it's actually a very common thing. Well, I've heard it a lot growing up. I don't know about anyone else. But space actually works the opposite. Mm-hmm. Time is slower in space. And so if you were to send, let's say me, right now I'm 20. If you were to send me up into space and leave me there for...
Well, that's not space. What you're talking is light speed.
Oh, maybe.
If you travel at light speed...
For a year.
For a year.
Come back. I will be 21.
Yep. But
But
yeah,
everyone
everybody
else
else will be dead.
Yeah, everyone else will be way older, if not dead.
Mm-hmm. So, speaking of, reason why we're bringing up time is patience is all about time.
Yes.
We gotta be patient in life. The problem with society today, we call it the light switch society. The problem with society, and we're all guilty of this because of technology and a bunch of other stuff. So the reason why they call it light switch is because everything today is instant gratification.
Yeah.
It's like walking in a room. You walk in a room, you hit a switch, boom, you got light. Back in the day, they had to go find matches, they had to light a candle. It took a little bit to get light in a room. So with society, we call it light switch because we've been spoiled to fast food. You want to eat, you can have food within 5 minutes. You got drive-through everything. So everything's like hustle and bustle, quick and instant.
We live a very fast-paced life, according to back then.
Yes, and then basically you want to know information, you got a computer, 2 minutes, you got all the information you want. Everything's like a light switch, it's quick. So with that being said, it trained us to be impatient because you expect everything now. They created a microwave, so it don't take you 3 hours to cook a meal no more. You can do it in 20 minutes in a microwave. Society is the problem of basically making us lose patience because everything now is instant gratification. But the problem is when it comes to God, God does not live by instant gratification.
No.
He lives by the world of patience. You want something, you gotta be patient about it. You gotta be patient for it to come. You can't pray to God and have it, bang, show up at your doorstep 5 minutes later. Don't work that way.
No.
God does things at God's time. There's a reason why it's called God's time.
But you know what? I don't care what anyone says. God's time is the correct time.
And it's the most important time. I can honestly say a lot. He has blessed me over and over and over multiple times.
Yeah.
In so many different ways. And right now at the shop, I'm transparent about everything. I got a company that's in here helping us out financially to get the shop to the point to where we can make money.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit last week. I don't know if we actually, said if I know we said we had
talked about how you're blessed.
Yeah.
But more I think about it, it's kind of funny. I'm gonna tell you a story that a guy who actually is here counseling us and going through this stuff with us. He's actually pretty cool. He's a Christian. He's actually gonna be on the podcast next week.
Yep.
And me and him were talking today, and he told me a story, and he said, "Here's the story," and I love this story. And when he told me, I've heard it years ago, but forgot all about it. But when he told me, I love this story. A flood's happening in a small town. You're in Louisiana. Big flood's happening. Guy comes, and the waves are coming over, and the road just starting to flood. And this guy comes by in a four-wheeler, and he says to this old man sitting on his porch, and says, "Mister, get on a four-wheeler. You got to get out of here. Everything's flooded." And the guy looks at him and says, "No, you go ahead. I'm good. God has me. I have faith in God. God has me." A little bit later, the flood's higher, so now he has to go up to the second floor of the house, and the first floor is flooded. And this boat comes by and goes, "Mister, you're flooding. Your house is flooded. You're flooding. You're going to die. Get in the boat." And the guy says, "Nope. I have faith in God. God's going to save me. Go about your way. I'm good." A little bit later, the whole house is flooded. He's standing on the roof now. And this helicopter comes by, and they're like, "Mister, grab the rope. We're going to pull you to shore. Everything's flooded." Guy looks at the helicopter and says, "Go away. God has me. God is not going to let me die. God's going to protect me." A little bit later, the old man dies. He drowns. He goes up to heaven, he gets to heaven, he looks at God and he goes, God, I'm a true follower of you. I believe in you. I follow you. Why did you let me die? And God goes, John, I sent you a four-wheeler. You said no. I sent you a boat. You said no. I sent you a helicopter. You said no. I did everything I could to save you. You refused it all. So here you are with me. That's the truth. Just because you're a believer in God and all this, or you don't want to believe, or whatever you may want to do, God does not always give you your gifts himself. Actually, he never gives, hardly ever gives you your gifts himself.
There's that outcome from it, which is a true outcome. But the one, because I've never heard that story before. That this is the first time I ever heard it.
Yeah.
What I took from it is God will give you what you need, but not necessarily in the form that you want it.
Or that you think.
Exactly. Like this old man from, obviously this wasn't a true story or anything like that, but from the perspective of the old man, what I took from it was he was expecting God himself
to come down
and say, here, get on my back, we're going to shore.
Or he expected God just to stop the flooding.
Right. One of the two.
But that's not always the case. And here's the case. This is where I'm going with this point, though. I've been blessed in many ways. We've talked about this with the shop. There's been many times that we've been down on money.
Yeah.
Very down on money. And bang, a random check would come in the mail. I'd be like, oh, we can pay our bills this week.
Yeah.
And I've been blessed many times throughout my life that way. And me and him was talking about it. And that's when he told me the story. And this time, I'm taking this company calling me and showing up as a blessing from God. Because what I'm looking at is when we first opened the shop, we were short on money and we needed money. Bang, this check came in from NTV, my bonus check. Got us through. I had another time, short on money. Bang, check came in from a vendor that actually paid us back, paid us money, paid their bill or whatever. Bang, there's the money. Had another time when that surprise check came in from a promotion. Bang,
yep.
Helped us out. Now, God gave me 3 opportunities to get out of the hole. And I'm thinking now, this is the last shot. He's like, dude, I gave you money this time, got you out of the hole. I gave you money this time, got you out of the hole. Give you money this time, got you out of the hole. Obviously, you're not doing something right to get out of the hole, so here's a guy in a company that's going to help teach you out of the hole. If it don't work, you're on your own, buddy.
Well, you know the old saying, if you give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. You teach a man how to fish, he'll eat for life.
Exactly. And that's where we're at with God, and that's why I consider this company a blessing. Although they gave me shell shock today, but they're a blessing. And I think that's the story. The point of the story is you got to be patient with God, but you also got to see God is God is not going to come down himself and say, hey, I see you in trouble. Here, follow me. Or if your house is flooding, he ain't going to stop the water from flooding. What he's going to do is he's going to send angels to you in forms of humans or dogs or cats or anything.
Whatever the situation implies.
To help you out.
Yeah.
What you need to do, 1, you need patience. 2, you need to see the insight of what it is. If your house is flooding and somebody comes up to rescue you, you take the helping hand because that's usually God sending help out for you.
Yeah.
You don't sit there and expect God to come down himself and say, okay, John, jump on my back. Let's go.
Right.
Because he's not going to do that.
No. And
he's going to let you die because obviously if you turned away all 3 blessings that he gave you for safety, you want to die.
And some things can be blessings in disguise as well. There's been multiple times where I've heard stories of, or even, things happened in my life that I look back on and realize if that wouldn't have happened, I wouldn't be where I'm at now.
You're right.
Like, one of the biggest things was I played football in high school. And I wasn't great at the position I played. I'm not going to sit here and act like I was the star. but every game I played, we won. That's not the point. It's just an observation. But I was playing a game, and it was the last couple seconds, and we were actually down, and this is the and what happened was I was an offensive lineman. I made a block for my running back for him to get the winning touchdown. Well, the person I blocked didn't like that I blocked him. We got into a little altercation on the field, and I got a concussion from it, a pretty bad concussion. If that would have never happened to me, I can honestly say I would not have spent as much time as I do now on my music, because I was more focused on football than my music, and because I was not allowed to play football anymore, I took a break from it and started making my music more.
And things come in different disguises, so you never know what type of angel is coming to see you.
Right.
It's kind of weird because they say Hollywood kind of has an insight, and if you think about certain things, like Hollywood, certain things come up, and like different movies or whatever. And some of the stuff they do to come out with, like what an angel would look like, or heavenly type movies,
Right.
it's kind of like realistic, like.
Oh yeah.
In some of the ways, and even like the Simpsons, famous Simpsons. Somehow the Simpsons, you always know what's gonna happen in the future. You want to know what's gonna happen in the future, you watch the Simpsons.
It's actually really sketchy. Like, I'm not a huge I've maybe seen one Simpsons episode start to finish.
Yeah.
But I've seen a lot of the, Simpsons predicted Trump in 2016 and all that type of stuff. And from an outsider's perspective,
they actually did. I've seen that episode way back in the 90s.
Yeah, and from my point of view, never really watching The Simpsons. I know Gramps used to love it, so I'm sure I've seen it at some point, just not to remember. But looking in from an outsider's perspective, it's pretty on the spot.
Yeah, but on The Simpsons, even there was one episode that there was something happened. I can't remember the whole episode because I haven't watched The Simpsons in years, but there was an episode where a dog was actually an angel and helped Lisa with saved Lisa with son.
Really?
And the dog actually saved her life, and then after they parted ways, the dog kind of walked away, and then kind of like wings came out on the floor.
Huh.
So that's why I use Simpsons as a reference. But even other movies, they have like different stuff that will happen, and they'll have like this certain angel come up that's like an average person. And I can't remember the movie. There was a movie. I seen this years ago, so I don't remember the name of the movie, the actress, or anything about it. But I remember this one scene because it sticks in my head. And I don't even remember the movie plot. But it was throughout the movie, this one character would be having like bad luck or whatever, and there was a female character. But there was throughout the movie, there was like a homeless guy that was following her, like, and she's always paranoid looking back, and I can't remember even if it was a horror movie or whatnot, but I remember throughout the movie, she kept looking back, and this homeless guy would be there, who was very dirty looking, rough looking, and she's like paranoid about him all the time, about him being there.
Yeah.
And like to the point where I remember in the movie at one scene, she actually ran up to a cop standing on the streets and saying, "Hey, I don't know what the heck, but for the last 2 weeks, this guy keeps following me." And the cop actually went over to the homeless guy and talked to him and then pushed him like away, like to leave her alone and this, that, and the other. And I remember is at one point towards the end, can't even remember what happened, but she was in danger for something. I almost want to say it was like almost hit by like a bus or a car, something like that. And like she walked in the road and this car was coming and tried to stop, and that homeless guy ran and grabbed her and yanked her out of the way to safety.
Yeah.
And she wound up thanking him and talking to him, and I can't remember. I wish I knew the name of the movie, but I remember him. They talked a minute, and then she goes, "I'm sorry about getting a cop after you, and this, that, and the other. Thank you for saving my life." And she's like, all praising him and thanking him and apologizing for the cop incident and all this. And he looked at her and he goes, "This is my job, is to make sure you're safe."
Mm.
And basically, then he kind of like went off in the shadows. Like he was her angel. That was like an angel moment. He was her angel. He was just disguised as a homeless guy.
Well, there's two examples I like to think of when it comes to, like angels in real life. One of them, one of my favorite shows of all time, Supernatural.
Yeah.
If you don't know, the whole thing is based on these two brothers, Sam and Dean, who hunt monsters. Like vampires are real, werewolves, wendigos, everything. They're real, and they go and they hunt them. They, hunt evil. Well, along the way, they meet this angel, and I don't know if he's actually mentioned in the Bible or if this is a made-up name by the creators, but he's the angel named Castiel. And the way angels are depicted in this show is so crazy to me, only because if I were to think of how an angel would come down in real life, this is how I think it would happen. Because they somewhat possess normal people.
Yeah.
So they go up to an everyday person, and Castiel possessed this one guy, and when he first gets introduced, he doesn't know how to control his powers.
Yeah.
And he's walking down this, I believe it was an alleyway, and Dean, one of the brothers, was in the alleyway, and all the lights are bursting, and, a bunch of lightning and crazy stuff is going on because Castiel doesn't know how to contain his powers.
Yeah.
And it's, this big frightening moment, this big entrance. And then they end up getting Castiel to help them out and help them fight evil and whatnot. And Castiel, not thinking about it, took the body of this person. And so obviously his family is like, where is he? What's going on?
Yep.
And they have an episode about it where Castiel actually goes back home, or takes his body back home. It was a couple years later, and his wife is like, you can tell it had a big impact on him.
Yeah.
He had kids and everything, and it shows the devastation that it did to the family.
Yeah.
And but you would never know he was an angel just by looking at him.
Yeah.
And if someone kills an angel in the show, they kill the angel, and the human body is killed as well. But when they die, there's big, almost like ash along everywhere to shape their wings around their body.
Oh.
So to prove, that's an angel. But the other example that I just lost my total train of thought.
Another TV show.
Yeah. Oh no, it's not a TV show. It's a music video. Another instance similar to what you were saying about the movie.
Yeah.
I know this band gets a lot of hate, but I think from the songs I've heard, they're a decent band. Nickelback.
Yeah. Oh, I love Nickelback.
I haven't heard all their music. I've heard a few songs that I like, but the music video for their song "Saving Me."
Yeah.
It starts off with this one guy, and he's walking down the road, and it looks like to be New York City or some busy city like that, and he goes to step out in front of traffic, and this guy pulls him from his arm.
Yep.
And saves him. And he turns around to look, and nobody's there. And then from that point on, all he sees is a bunch of people walking away.
Yep.
but over everyone's head, he sees a bunch of numbers, and they're all counting down.
Yeah.
And he's so he's kind of like tripping out. He's like, what's going on? And
I know the video. I've seen the video.
And it's kind of like almost passing the torch, sort of, which I think in real life. Now, obviously, this is an exaggerated version because if you save someone's life, obviously you don't see anything extraordinary. But it's in the most simplified sense because he's walking down the street and all of a sudden he sees this old lady being carted out by paramedics of this building, and he sees her number go down to 0.
Yeah.
And her arm drops. She's dead. So at that point he realizes, I'm seeing how much longer people have to live.
Yep.
And he walks up and, at the end of the video...
Yeah, that's a movie like that, I think.
Is there?
Yeah. Where people have numbers on them and it comes down.
Huh. I've
seen I've never seen the movie, but I've seen
trailers. But at the end of this video, there's a... what was it? It was a... one of the things people... window
washers?
Yeah. Yeah.
The scaffolding?
Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
What they stand on?
Yeah.
One of those is falling. And there's this lady trying to get into a car. And he sees the numbers counting down quick. He looks up, sees the scaffolding falling. He grabs her hand and pulls her out. She turns around. All she sees is a bunch of people walking in numbers. And so it's almost like a
Final Destination.
Kinda, yeah. But I just love that video so much because it puts it into perspective of what an angel really, truly is. Because they see stuff.
A lot of times angels are just regular people that just have a mission from God.
Right. But angels, whether they realize it or not, they see things that people don't. Yeah. Normal people don't. Like, that lady didn't see the scaffolding falling. Yeah. Nobody else did. But for whatever reason, he did. So he pulled her out of the way.
She's already pulled from Final Destination. So
exactly.
He's seen the future.
And so he saved her life. And, I think that's a great testament to kind of pay it forward in a sense.
Yeah.
But also...
I can tell you, we got a little off subject, but I can tell you a true story.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Let me tell you a true story. This is how God works. And this kind of goes with it with patience and goes along with angels and how things work. Have a friend, his mother, is very in tune with the afterlife. She's also very religious. And I remember when the movie Candyman came out.
Is that the one about the reporter that's trying to find out what Candyman
What happened?
is?
Yeah, and basically you stand in front of a mirror, you say Candyman, 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 and he's gonna come kill you.
Yeah.
And I remember when me and my buddy was watching it, and she turned around, she goes, "You guys shouldn't watch that. Don't do stuff like that." And she got like real freaked out. And I remember me and my buddy, I'm not gonna mention names, looked at each other and we're like, what's going on? And she's like freaked out of the movie.
Yeah.
And she goes, "No, you don't understand." And then she goes, that stuff like that is real. And we're like, well, Candyman ain't real, it's a movie. Because maybe not Candyman, but there's other ones. And we're like, what you talking about? Now, mind you, this is back in the 80s. She's an older woman, so she was a teenager, probably in the late 60s, early 70s, whatever. And she goes, "Well, let me tell you a story. Her and a friend, when they was in high school, back in her time, there was a certain thing saying that you went in front of a mirror and you did the saying."
Was it like Bloody Mary or something?
I don't remember the exact saying. She wouldn't tell us it, but me and my buddy actually looked it up and we found it.
Oh.
But there was a saying that you could say, supposedly you stood in front of a mirror and you said the saying and it showed you your soul.
Mm.
What your soul looked like. And it was rumored that there were people kids doing the same and dying of a heart attack because what they saw was the devil or evil or something like that, so they die of a heart attack or shock. So she said that they got home from school and it was her and a friend. They heard about the saying, so she said that they were standing in front of the mirror and they're getting ready to do this. So they're prepping. I guess you had to burn candles, light some candles, and all this. And
there's a ritual to it.
There's a ritual to it, and they started a ritual. They got in front of the mirror, and they started saying the saying. And I forgot how many times you had to say it. There was a little phrase saying that you had to say. And they got halfway through it, and all of a sudden the doorbell rang, and it started ringing furiously. So they're like, oh, what the heck? So they went into the door. They opened the door, and there at the door was a priest of the local church. And looked at her and said, what you're about to do will haunt you for life. Do not do it. I suggest you not to do it. Stop what you're doing. And then walked away. And she says from that day forward, not only was she freaked out, because how did he know what she's doing?
Yeah.
First, but she said, that was her coming out to God moment, she said. Because she said, from there on, because she said that her family was very Catholic.
Yeah.
But she was at that age where she's a teenager and falling away from her religion because there was stuff down the throat.
Right.
She said, from that day forward, she said she got re-baptized into the Catholic and she went full bore into it because she knew it was a message from God telling her, one, it was going to be a bad outcome, and two, letting her know that God had a bigger plan for her, that she needs to be patient. And that's when she started becoming a follower of God. And without that, I mean, she's really a great lady. And she's done a lot for the community, a lot for different stuff for the children. But also, she has this third sense or extra sense to, like, the afterlife.
Yeah.
Like, she can literally walk up to a house and tell you if it's haunted just by the feel of it. And she says she don't see the ghost per se, but she can feel him, sense him.
Yeah, kind of like a psychic.
Yeah, kind of.
There's a lot of games out there like that, though, that, like, there's an alarming amount.
Oh, there is.
There's plenty of them, and, you know, I've never actually really done any.
I mean, a lot of them are fake.
Right. Like Bloody Mary, I believe that one's been proven fake or whatever.
Yeah, most of them have been proven fake.
There's certain things. I'm a very don't mess with fate type of person. I believe in God, and, you know, some people disagree with me, but I believe that fate and God go hand in hand.
Of course he does.
Some people say if you believe in fate, you can't believe in God, that they rival each other. But me, I think they go hand in hand.
They, of course, go hand in hand. It talks about it in the Bible, because God knows what you're going to do next before you even do it. Like it or not, God already knows when you're going to die.
Yeah. And he knows how you're going to die.
He just... The thing that God don't know, because he gave us free will as people.
Yeah.
One, he don't know how much we're going to love him and follow him. And two, he don't know if we're going to repent in time before we die. And that's a big key.
Yeah.
Watching the movie, I watched it again this weekend. We talked about it on one podcast, because I watched it with Meme.
Yeah.
Called God's Not Dead.
Yeah.
And in the end, the atheist professor that was trying to make the kid think God was dead. And
yeah, he was trying to make him into
atheist.
Yeah.
And he gets hit by a car and he's laying on the road and he's dying. And just coincident, these two priests are right there who know about the whole situation about him, atheist and all that. And I stand over him and they're like, oh. And they yell for people to call 911, and the one priest says, oh, he's bleeding in his lungs. He ain't going to make it. We better pray.
Yeah.
So they stand over him and they're praying, and he's crying. He's like, I'm not ready to die. I'm not ready to die. I'm not ready to die. And the priest looks at him and goes, well, we can't stop that now. But looking at your life, and you've been running atheist, I feel the obligation here to let you know now that God has a thing for you, and He has a point for you because you should have been dead already. You should have been dead on impact. Most people would have been dead on impact. He's giving you a second chance. Do you accept His second chance? And the guy goes, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "He's giving you a second chance to repent. He's giving you a second chance to get into heaven. Do you accept His second chance?" He's like, "Yes, I accept His second chance. I believe in Jesus. I believe in God. I accept. I repent." And then he dies. Moral of the story is,
not everyone gets that.
not everybody gets that chance to regret what you did or repent. Sometimes you die as the sinner, not being saved. And it says it right in the Bible. He who dies who's going to hell, it will be walking themselves to hell. God ain't going to send you to hell. You're going to walk yourself to hell.
Right.
God is trying to pull you to Him. And God is giving us all the means to get into heaven. I mean, Jesus Christ died. He walked a sin-free life. He lived a sin-free life. He lived as the perfect man that God wanted. But yet, He died a sinner's death on the cross.
Yeah.
To take our sins with Him. God gave us an option to get to heaven. And Jesus says, you recognize me and talk about me and to your friends. I will talk about you to my Father in heaven.
Right.
That's your way into heaven.
Well, and speaking on that is, the whole message of this podcast or this episode is patience. And on what you just said, there's two levels of patience. Or there's two outputs of patience. One, patience is good, but you don't want to wait for God to give you the right moment, or you don't want to wait for God to give you that second chance to repent and fully put your trust and belief in Him, because you may not get that. But the other one is, as a Christian,
I think the first one would be more procrastination.
That procrastination, but some people may view it as patience. I'm being patient for God to give me that opportunity.
But you can't be patient with God.
Exactly.
While you're waiting for that opportunity, that's called being procrastination, and it's actually a deadly sin in the Ten Commandments, being a sloth, which means he's being lazy, which means you're not going out and getting what God wants you to get.
But the second point is, you have to have patience with God in the sense of Him doing what's best for you. Because
or what you think is best for you.
Right. Because the thing with God, like we said in the beginning of the episode, God works on His own time.
Yep.
And He may not give you what you want versus what you need. But you have to have patience with Him, because there's a lot of people. I met a few people who thought being a Christian was all rainbows and butterflies, and that the second they got baptized, or the second they, went to the altar and made the altar call, that everything was going to be perfect from there on out.
Never.
I had this one girl in school, actually. I went to school with her, and we're in the same class, and I invited her to a youth group one night, and she's like, okay, I'll be there. So she got there, and her father was abusive to her mother, and they were always getting screaming matches, and he would hit her mother and stuff like that, and he would always be drunk. Well, she may have taken it this way, the wrong way, but when I described it to her, but she thought that if she came and accepted Christ, that all that would stop. And unfortunately, that did not happen. And she came to church with me. We hung out at church, and we listened to the youth sermon and everything. And then she went back home, and nothing changed. And she felt like that was a slap in the face from me and from God, only because she perceived it as God would fix all of her problems immediately.
No, God will fix all your problems. That's 100% guaranteed.
Right.
If you rely on God, you pray to God, you love God, you follow God's word, God is going to help you. God will not let you sink. God will not give you that disease, and God will not let you starve. But you got to be patient with him. One, he's patient with us. I can honestly say, I'll be the first to admit, God is not, in our terms, always fair on our terms.
Right.
Because God is kind of a jealous God, and he's definitely a jealous God. He wants what he wants, and he's gonna get what he wants, or you're not gonna get what you want.
Right.
But in the turn, if you love God, all you gotta do is love him and love on him and follow his word to the best of your ability and try and make it better each day and grow stronger with him as you go and be patient with him as you go. He will make it better. But if you're a true follower and a true believer in him, he will never let you fail. You're not saying that you're gonna live the richest life. I'm not gonna say there's nothing in the Bible saying that he's gonna give you earthly riches. There is in the Bible, in fact, though, saying that he will give you heavenly riches, which is a whole different level of richness. Your money that you make, your green money, that don't mean nothing. It's a piece of paper. It's just got ink on it. Anything in this world can be destroyed with a wind or fire or earthquake, or can be destroyed in a matter of seconds. Anything you have, I don't care if you have a $5 billion house, it can be destroyed in literally less than a minute.
But even to that point, your life could be taken at any second.
Yes.
There is nothing on this earth that I or anyone
or in the Bible,
that can guarantee you will 100% of the time be there and 100% of the time be the way you want it to be.
It will most of the time not be the way you want it to be, but it's going to be the way you need it to be.
Yes.
That's the difference. God is going to help you with your needs, not your wants. And you got to be patient with him too, because see, he knows when you need it the most. So, like, I'm transparent on everything, and I'm going to be honest with you. We are in financial difficulty at Fifth Dimension.
Hence the financial advisor.
Yep, and I'm talking very, very, very financial difficulties right now, to the point that it's been many, many, many blue moons since I've ever been this broke in my life. And it's hard times, and most people don't know it. Like, if you talk to me, on the average, people don't know it, because I don't show stress, I don't show fear as far as that, because my biggest thing is I have faith in God. I know he's going to get me through this storm. When? I'm not sure. I'm
when we need to be out of the storm.
When we need to be, and it's granted it's not on my time, because I needed help last week, bad. He ain't gonna make it happen when I want it to happen. He's gonna make it happen when I need it to happen.
See, there's a very fine line, and most people don't realize this. And I actually had to learn this the hard way. There is a very, very fine line between what you need and what you want. If you would have asked me, say, 2 years ago from this point, I would have been fresh out of basic, and I would have had more money than someone my age should have a handle on.
Yep.
And if you would have asked me if I would have needed the 5 jerseys, 3 pairs of shoes, 2 gold chains, brand new PS4, everything else I spent my money on foolishly, I would have honestly, truly meant it when I said yes. If you asked me if I truly needed that. Because at the time, my wants and my needs,
Blended.
I had confused. Because I did not need that. I did not need a jersey. I didn't need a single jersey, yet alone 5.
Yeah.
I did not need a new pair of shoes. I did not need anything really. I was living with my parents, not paying rent, not paying for food, not paying for car insurance. The only thing I had to pay for was my phone, and for whenever I used the car, I tried to fill up the gas.
Yeah.
Those are the only things I had to pay for. Everything else, I did not need. What I needed to do was save that money. And, for anyone listening to this who is young and are making money when they're still living with their parents and don't have much to pay for, please save your money.
You will need it in the future.
I
promise you that.
I am 20 years old. 2 years ago, I had over $3,500 in my bank account. And now I have 2. And I have rent coming up. I have, I just paid my phone bill. There's a difference between your needs and your wants. And that's what a lot of people don't realize with God. And that's why you have to be patient with Him the most. Is because you may feel like you need this. You may feel like you need that, new PlayStation 5. You may honestly feel like you need it. I promise you, you do not.
Nope. I'm going to read to you James 5:8. You also must be patient. Keep your hopes high, for the day of the Lord's coming is near. I figure I'd read that one because I am a strong believer that the end of days are coming. I can't say they're coming tomorrow, but they are on their way to coming. And here's the thing. I've lived my life. I've done my good. I've done my bad. I've done just about everything. But I'm now walking in the path of God, and I'm walking straight in the path of God, and I'm getting stronger with God every day. I'm very patient with God now, which when I was younger, I wasn't so patient with Him. And I believe He will judge me for what I have done, but He will also forgive my sins and let me move on.
Yeah.
As a true follower of Christian of God, we bless the end days. And like you see people like the crazy people on the street saying, "No, I'm coming in! Oh my God, God's coming! I hope it does, because I'm certain that I am in good with God now, and I'm building stronger with Him. When He actually does come, He's gonna save us, the ones who want to be saved, and the ones who are patient with Him about your needs.
Well, and, being patient with God, we've said it multiple times tonight that it's a necessity. You need to be patient with God. You need to understand He works on His time, not yours. And He will not give you what you want. He will give you what you need. But being patient with God can get tricky sometimes.
It can. It can be difficult sometimes, because I can honestly tell you right now, I'm very patient with God. But right now, I need Him to hurry up.
And that's the thing, and especially when it comes, down to money, or when it comes down to, whatever the case may be. Maybe you're in a life-threatening situation, and you need God to let something happen, or, whatever situation you're in. Being patient like I said in the beginning of this, patience is a virtue. One I do not personally have, but I am working on. And patience is the most key thing anyone can have in their arsenal.
Yep. I got a perfect one for you.
What's that?
Next one goes right to you.
Oh boy.
Proverbs 15:18. Hot tempers cause arguments, but patience brings peace. And it goes right along with what you're just saying, and it goes right along with what you're like.
See, I don't have a hot temper. I just don't like being disrespected. There's a difference.
It's called being patient.
But that's another thing is patience. Even in a non-religious aspect, being patient is one of the most Christian things you can do.
It's not even the most Christian. I'm going to take it a step farther. It's the most human thing you can do.
I don't know if I agree with that one. I know a lot of humans that are not patient.
No, they're not patient. But it's the most human thing you can do. It's not saying everybody does it. Nobody does it. But you think about this. You're in McDonald's drive-thru, and this car's sitting there at the window, and they're sitting there. Biggest thing is us as people, honking our horn, get out of the way. Here's the thing. One, what are you in a rush to go to? That's that much of a rush.
I promise you, if you have time to wait in the drive-thru, you are not starving to death.
And two, if you be a little patient, you don't know what's going on at that window. Who knows? Maybe the cook just put his hand on the fryer and he hurt him. He burnt.
Or maybe he's having a heart attack.
Maybe he's having a heart attack. Maybe the machine broke, so they're trying to get change for the customer because the cash register broke. You don't know what's going on. And I promise you, they're not like, let's hold up this line for the next hour. Let's make these people sit in the cars and get mad as heck at us. I assure you they're not doing that. There's usually something that's holding up the line. We as people, we get impatient and we start honking the horn. Or you're at that red light and the second it goes green, if that car in front of you don't move, the second it flips green, you're honking your horn. Be patient. You don't know what that person driving that car is going through. Maybe it's their first time out on a big road like that and they're a little nervous. Maybe they just having an issue with their car and their car don't take off quick like that. They got a little lag issue with their car.
I understand that.
Here's the problem. Patience is not just a spiritual thing. I mean, it's very spiritual. But it's also a human thing. If people had more patience in their life, period, everybody's life would be so much easier.
And
happier.
I was just going to say that life would be so much better if we had more patience in the world. And, that's me kind of being a hypocrite a little bit because I'm not great at patience at all. But, if you think about it realistically, if you had a little more patience, let's say you're at the store and you only have to buy a pack of batteries. But someone in front of you has like 13 items.
Yep.
If you were patient enough, you wouldn't get upset about how long it's taking. And your day, I promise you, would be better.
Exactly.
Because that's something as humans that we've talked about this on previous episodes. But you should not let small things ruin your day. But a lot of people do. But a lot of the small things that ruin people's day have to do with patience.
And it would be so much better if you was patient. It wouldn't happen. I can tell you firsthand different things that you could have had a lot better outcome if you was patient. I know a few times myself, I've actually did damage to my vehicle because I was impatient. I had to get here. I had to get there. I had to get here. So I drove like an idiot to get here, get there, get there. One, I could have saved myself a lot of money in tickets over the years. But two, there was one time I remember when I was a teenager, and it was same thing. I was driving down the road and this pokey driver was in front of me. And they were pokey and they were not really pokey. They was only doing like 2 miles an hour under the speed limit. But I was young, dumb, and hot and had my car and I needed to go faster. Well, because you're patient, I got mad at them. I'm honking the horn. So finally I get an opening. I go to pass around them. Well, it was just after a storm. When I went to pass around them, I went flying. There was a rock in the road, or a tree limb, that I ran over, and it blew out 2 of my tires. And I spun off the road and actually did a little bit of damage to my car. Didn't total it, but never guess what? Now I had to fix my car. I had to buy 2 tires. All of them because I was impatient. I needed to get by them now. Now, if I was a little patient, never guess what? I would have saved myself a couple $100. And I would have got to where I needed to go, where now I didn't get to where I needed to go.
Yeah.
Patience ruined my day because I was impatient.
Well, the best example of patience that I can, in recent memory for me, is actually an example from today. Today at the shop, we had a situation that I believe Dad handled very well with a lot of patience. A technician dropped the transmission, a new transmission, from a height of about 5 feet and broke the transmission. So now we have...
Mind you, it's in a time of hardship of money.
Yeah.
To begin with.
Right. Not only so there's that, but now we have to buy another transmission for more than the customer paid us already for the transmission. So we're losing money on this transmission now.
A lot.
But I remember the financial guy, myself, and Dad were up front in the service area, and we were having a conversation. And we heard a loud bang out in the bay. I knew instantly in my head, either a car just fell off the lift, or they dropped the transmission. I knew it was one of those 2 things. And either way, it would have been big money and a big problem. Well, Dad goes out to look. And I was 100% expecting Dad to freak out. I was expecting Dad to go Hulk and pick up the broken transmission and just start smashing it through windshields. But Dad came back up front only a couple minutes later. He was visibly upset. But he just sat there. He cooled himself off. And we went to problem solving. How much would it be to fix it? How much would it be for a new transmission? How much would this? How much would that? How long this? And honestly, if I was the one who was in that situation, I would not have handled it nearly as well as Dad did. And that's part of, one, age and maturity. We're in the middle of that conversation when that happened. About me being hot-headed and things of that nature. But it also has to do with patience and understanding. Because, yeah, that really sucked.
It did.
We're going to have to spend more money. We're going to have to lose money. And not only
that we don't have.
Right. Not only that, but from what I've talked with the technician that dropped the transmission, he was pretty upset at himself about it. And from the way he was speaking, I think he's going to be a little more shaky on doing big jobs and handling big things of that nature.
Well, and the worst part about this is, again, it's going to go back to patience. How he dropped the transmission is he's trying to take it off the transmission jack that's about 5 feet all the way lowered in the air. A heavy transmission, he tried to take it off the transmission jack himself. Now, if he had a little patience to
A little less of an ego.
a little less of an ego and a little more patience, where he could have actually stopped and asked another technician, or came up front and asked me or Devin, "Hey, I need to get this transmission off the jack. Can somebody give me a hand?" And been patient enough to wait a minute for somebody to go help him. It all could have been avoided.
Yes, but anyway, so yes, this situation sucked, but everything happens for a reason.
I want to know the reason on this one. But
I think I know the reason.
Oh, you do?
I have a pretty good understanding because, and this is
Does
my...
it require me buying pizza?
No.
Handing out a slice?
No. One of my biggest things have to get worse and worse and worse for something good to happen. There's a quote, can't remember who said it. I believe it was from a movie. But someone said, "I wish there were only good days. I wish no one ever had a bad day."
I'm wishing. I know. That is a movie. I can't remember.
And the person came back and said, "Without any bad days, there would be no good days."
Yep. The best saying I've heard on this, and this is a great philosopher that said this, and don't ask me who, I don't remember. And they talked about, basically, think of life as a bow and arrow. Bad days are going backwards, good days are going forward. So you think about it, in your life, when you have a bad day, it's like grabbing a bow and arrow and pulling it back. That's a bad day. Or a bad week.
Yeah.
Or a bad month. Or a bad year.
Right.
It's when you're pulling it back. But what happens when you let it go? You go forward, and you hit your target. That's a great day. For anything good to happen, you must go back to go forward.
Yeah, must take a step back to go 5 steps forward.
So what they say is, we have bad days or bad moments. Best one, actually, I seen this one on Facebook just the other day. Zig Ziglar said this. This is Zig Ziglar quote. "We call things as a bad day when we shouldn't be. We should be calling it a bad moment. Because just because you had a bad moment don't make the whole day bad. Makes that moment in time bad." Which is 100% right, because a lot of times what will happen is we could be having the greatest day of our lives. Now all of a sudden one bad thing happens and you consider the day ruined. Where the whole day wasn't ruined. That one incident was bad, yes. So that one moment in time is bad, but the moments before it was great.
Yeah.
And the moments coming after it will be okay.
Well, back to my original point, and this is, you can take this as a prediction, you can take it as a prophecy, however you want to take it. But I 100% believe, because these last couple months we have been doing pretty bad. We haven't been doing nearly as good as we should have been. I honestly believe and I honestly hope that going into this next year, like you said, right now we're pulling the bow back. Coming into this new year, I'm hoping we let go of the bow. Let go of the string.
That'd be nice.
And that's me being a little hopeful, but it's also me. There's a trend in everyone's life. I don't care who you are. Everyone's life has a trend. Usually people go through a little bit of bad before they get the good.
Well, you have to go through the bad to hit the good.
And I 100% believe in it. You know, the timing fits right according, because we didn't do too great when we started this business. We weren't working as many cars as we should have been and whatnot. And then we had a really good couple months.
Good stretch.
And then we fell back again. And then we did good for a little bit again. And now we're back in that bad time.
But here's the thing, and this is my hopes, and this is my faith, and this is my beliefs. See, I've had some really bad times in my life. Financially, right now what we hit is probably the lowest in my life. And one thing that I'm a strong believer of, like every time I've hit a low in my life, something great always turns out.
Yeah.
And comes out, and we rocket into the end.
Yeah.
I've been at many lows before, and then that shoots me back into a high. I'm thinking, because I look at the signs. I'm a thinker all the time. I'm always thinking. Even Lloyd said that today. He's like, dude, you're thinking too much. I can see it in your face. You're thinking 10 steps ahead right now. I am. And one thing that I've been thinking of, because time's been so hard for the last couple of weeks, and it's been really bad, I've been doing a lot of back thinking, I guess I'd want to say, and putting pieces of puzzles together. And that's why I made the eulogy earlier about God's gifts.
Yeah.
And I'm a strong believer, like the saying with the guy with the boat, the four-wheeler, and the airplane, with the helicopter. God's helped me many times in my life, all the time. And He's helped me with some great things. I've been blessed, I can honestly say, a lot more than I deserve. A lot more than I ever deserved. God's been great to me. And through this business, He's always provided for me. But He's always provided with me money-wise. And I myself like to think of myself as a good leader, and a good business owner. And I like to think of myself pretty smart of how to make money, because I've done it with other businesses, made a lot of money with it. That's why I'm finding myself at all why I'm at such trouble with this time around. And this time. Well, thinking about it, God knows I've been successful in other businesses in the past, and I think that's why He gave me the little, oh, you're in a rough spot, here's some money to get you through it. All right, you're in a rough spot, here's some money to get you through it. And we get out and we got a good stretch, we have a good long stretch, like 3-4 months, so we're doing great, and then we hit that low again. God gives us another little boost me up. Go good for 3-4 months, we're dying out. And I'm thinking, and this is my beliefs, this is my faith, and I'm going to be patient with God, because God is great, and He is always great. And I'm thinking this time, He's like, you know what? I can give them another check to bail them out, which will put them on another launch. But they're going to hit another crash because they're doing short-term launches. Right now, we're shooting slingshots. We need to get him to shoot out at 50 caliber, so he can go miles, not just feet. And I'm a strong believer that he had this company call and set this thing up, because they're going to equip me with the tools, the knowledge, and the equipment to do the long haul now. And the reason why I say this is a moment from God and a call from God is because, one, the company called me. Two, with that being said, how many sales calls do I get a day or whatever? And people go, hey, we can help your business. We can give you a loan here. Or you advertise with us. We'll gain your business. Most of the time, I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. Keep going. I listened to this one. I listened to the sales pitch. Not knowing what the company was or anything like that. I agreed to meet with the first salesman. So the first salesman comes a couple days later. I talk with him, and he tells me what they want to do with me. And that they heard from me as word of mouth as a growing business in the area that could use their help. So I agreed to meet up with the analyst. And how this company works is this is a multi-million-dollar company that basically helps Fortune 500 companies make more money and save money. And they help big companies, and they charge these big companies a lot. The average price that they charge for these big companies is like $3,000 an hour. So they also, because they're such a successful company, they don't help just anybody. They pick and choose the clients, and they told me, they were like, you're going to sit down with our analyst. Our analyst is going to go over your business model, go over your stuff, go over your books, and after we look at that, we are going to decide whether or not we want to work with you. It's not your choice, it's our choice if we're going to work with you. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of odd.
Yeah.
You come into my place saying, we might take your money, but we might not. We'll see. Sat down with the analyst for 2 days and got a better understanding of why there's this company like this. This company gives you a couple guarantees. One, it gives you a guarantee of 2 to 1 in return. So whatever you pay them, you're going to make at least double that back. Just what they're teaching you. Not to mention what you're already making of other money. Number 2, they give you a money back guarantee. So after your first year, if you don't make that 2 to 1 investment in return, they will give you 100% of your money back, refunded. All of it. So, talking with him, and he's going through this stuff, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, well, this is a no-brainer opportunity. How can I lose? Money back guarantee. If I don't make money, don't make double of what I pay them, hey, I'm fine. I get my money back. And I'm thinking, okay. So I spend $1,000, and I don't make $2,000 off of that $1,000 invested. Hey, I'll get my money back. So they agreed. They looked at it. They liked me. They liked the business model. They liked what we looked at. And they're like, we can help you. You're definitely a saving business to make a lot of money. So I'm like, great. So they're like, we're going to work with you. And they made a promise to me that they'll never break me. They'll set me up with plans to help me get through, and they will never drain my bank account dry. Well, they set me up with the advisor sent to me. A really good guy, nice guy. Been working with him last 2 days. I listened to everything he said. He's had a lot of good input. We went through a lot of stuff.
Yeah. He's definitely a very smart man.
Very smart man. Very, very smart man. He's actually was a financial advisor for Kansas City Chiefs. So today, and he gave me my homework for tonight. He gave me this booklet. He said, you need to read these papers and agree to all these terms and this, that, and the other. He goes, this is some stuff that I see wrong with your business, so read on it. Just tell me if you agree, whatever, and I'll be back tomorrow. He goes, oh, by the way, tomorrow, he goes, I need you to get a check. I don't deal with checks here. He said, get a check from the bank and post it to when you're comfortable next week for us to cash it for this week's worth of service. Because how they do it is they do it by weeks. And they already told me that they're going to look at different payment plans or whatever to help us out. So they handed it to me, and he goes, yeah, your bill's on back. Talking about a coming to God moment. Me being nosy I am, I'm not looking at the front sheet. I want to see what that bill is in the back sheet.
Exactly.
Mind you, it's only going to be for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I open it up and I look, and the bill for 3 days is $10,407. Needless to say, I seen God today. Needless to say, I've been praying to God. And it's funny because most people would have seen that bill and would have been like, dude, get the hell out of my place right now. Are you done? Get out. I'm not paying you a dime. Don't come back tomorrow.
Right.
I can't. No, $10,000 for 3 days worth of work. Get out. I'm not that way. Because here, one, I believe God sent them to me. 2, they promised and guaranteed me they'll never break my bank. Well, he's seen my bank account today with the $2 in it. So obviously with $2 in my bank account today, he knows he ain't getting $10,000 tomorrow. So 3, he also said that they will work out some type of payment plan to where I can pay them back every dime. And it's all guaranteed that I'll be making money with the investments. So, you want to know about patience, you want to know about faith, you want to know about hope. right now, I'm very patient with God. Okay, I know God has His plan and God has His reasons. I'm being very patient with Him to let Him carry out His work. I have faith in Him that He sent me the right people because, and I can honestly say this because the guy He sent, one, he's a nice guy. Two, he's a very heavy Christian. We've talked a lot of God stuff over the last 2 days. And he's a very nice guy, and he's all very, very, very Christian. So, for me, it eases my mind knowing I'm working with another Christian. And he is so Christian to where he wants to have a meeting with the guys tomorrow. And he told me yesterday that he wants me to buy pizza and have like a little lunch party with them. Well, after seeing the transmission drop today, he walks over to me and he goes, tomorrow, he goes, I'm buying lunch. You're not buying it. I'm buying it. I'm like, dude, you shouldn't be putting your personal money into my business. He goes,
Right.
no. He goes, you need a little piece of break. He goes, so I'm paying for the lunch. I'm like, okay. And third, I am having hope. All the hope I can in my life that I have the knowledge and the ability to follow God's word, follow these people's advice, and make this business into what we want to make it into so we all can have, one, a happy life. My workers can get paid on time, my vendors can get paid on time, my bills can be paid, and I can make enough extra money where I can start helping communities out more. And maybe, hopefully, one day get to where I can open my church. But my hope is not in God, my hope is in myself. That I can handle what they're going to be given to me and put in front of me.
Well,
my faith is into this company and in God. And my patience is all with the Heavenly Lord.
you know, patience, this may actually put your mind at ease, but I've been practicing patience a lot. And one of the biggest reasons is not only at the shop, but even in my personal financial life. Not even financial, just, general life. I've been having a lot of issues, and the business has since right around October of 2020. I don't know what happened in October, but something happened in October. And it just seems like a lot of things in my life and with the business has kind of gone downhill. And as I've said multiple times on the podcast, I pray every night. And most of the time I pray for the business and I pray for, whatever I feel needs to be prayed about. Well, I don't know what's going to happen or how it's going to happen. But I believe 100%, and you can call this another prophecy, there is no doubt that this new year, something big is going to happen.
Yes, amen.
Since October, I've been praying, and the same thought always pops in my head after I pray. And it's this feeling of peace, and it's a thought about the new year. And I don't know why, but last night I was up till 4 a.m. coming up with ideas for the YouTube channel.
Yep.
And for music, and for even here at the shop. And, you can vouch for me. I spent 95% of the day today planning videos and stuff like that for the YouTube channel.
Yes, he has.
But something's big's gonna happen. I don't know if it's in the business. I don't know if it's in the YouTube channel, personal life, or even in the world in general. But something big is gonna happen this new year. I've had multiple dreams where it's almost like the new year can't come fast enough. Where it's like I'm dreaming about I'm going through everyday life, but in my gut I can feel that the new year is gonna be different, and it can't come fast enough. It's almost like, you're a kid and Halloween's tomorrow. You know it's gonna be good. Yeah, or Christmas. You know it's gonna be good, and you just can't wait. It cannot come fast enough. I 100% believe that this new year, like I said, I don't know if it's me in my personal life or with the YouTube channel, with the shop, or in the world in general, something is going to be changed around big time.
Well, I have a strong feeling the whole world is going to have a big change coming up this year. So with that being said, seeing how I keep stealing yours, what would you like to comment section?
Oh yeah, Jesus, I don't have one this time. For my comment section, I want to know what the hardest part about being patient is for you. There's a lot of people out, and if you are patient, how can you be so patient? I just want to pick your brain about, is there a reason you're not patient? Is it because you have too much anxiety? Is there a reason you're too patient? Like, you just don't care what happens? I wanna pick your brain about how patient you are and why you think you're that way.
I can answer that as part of my answer to you.
Okay.
To start the answers on this, I'm very patient and very impatient myself. Most things in life, I am the most patient person out there, only because, depending on the situation, if it's like with somebody who's angry at something, I understand that we don't know what they're going through and what their life is. They could just be having a very bad day. So I'm very patient with people. I'm very patient with working on cars because I know everything takes a skill, takes time. I'm patient with most everything in life. And it's patience because I look at it like this: is you can't rush a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
If you're doing a beautiful drawing, are you just gonna grab a pen and 2 seconds and write it and expect it to be beauty? Or are you gonna take the time and mark it up and kind of plan it out and then slowly paint it over the course of a couple hours and make something beautiful? Which way is it gonna come out better? Patience, I'm gonna take my time and get the more beautiful picture than the quick scribble. My impatient is my driving.
See,
I admit I have a little bit of road rage only because I like to drive fast, and I can't drive 55.
I'll answer mine real quick. I'm very impatient, and it's because I don't like surprises, and I have a lot of anxiety about what's coming next. I don't know why, but I'm always worried that the next second or the next chapter of my life, whatever it is.
Just remember, it will still be there tomorrow.
Hopefully.
It'll be there after. And as I think it's Bob Marley that says, don't worry.
No, that's
Be happy. No, that's not Bob Marley.
That's Bob McLaughlin.
Okay, Bob McLaughlin. So don't worry, be happy. My comment section. What do I want from you guys? Other than $1 million each. Small unmarked bills. I won't complain.
Message us for Cash App.
I kind of want a 2-part again.
Okay.
Actually, I'm going to make it a 3-part.
Oh.
It kind of all go hand in hand. 1, I want to challenge all the viewers out there, and I want to challenge all the people in the world to show over the course of the next 5 weeks true patience. Don't get heated. If you're waiting in that line, wait patiently. Don't honk your horn. If you're at that light and the guy ain't, relax. Take your time. You'll make it through the light, I promise you. The light will eventually go, or if it goes red, it will come green again, I promise you. Don't rush everything. Be patient, and be patient with people. Because I'm telling you, there's a lot of big stuff that's going to be happening in the next 5 weeks. And the biggest thing that's going to get us through it is patience. We got to be patient with people. When you see people having their hard times, don't get mad at them. Comfort them. Help them. Be patient with them. And I swear to God, it will make the next 5 weeks that much easier. Second part, I'm asking people to start paying it forward. Please pay it forward, because you don't know what the people are going through.
Yeah.
If you're at that drive-thru, pay for the guy behind your dinner.
Mm-hmm.
Simple stuff like that. If you're at a grocery store and you see, you know what? You see somebody that looks like they're having a hard time, or life is rough, or they're really, things are not going good for them. You know what? Simplest thing. When you see them, go buy them a candy bar. Give them a candy bar. It's just something, it's nothing much, but it's something I say, hey, thank you for being you.
Yeah.
Or give them a compliment. But then my question part, what I want from you in the questionnaire is, what in your life, looking back at your life, have you had a time that you can remember that you were very impatient? Yeah, had bad results that if you was a little bit more patient would have been good results. I want to know your answers on that, though. Your personal experience.
Well, before we end this episode, something that just dawned on me. When you guys hear this episode, it's a new year.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
Happy belated New Year.
Yeah, it'll be
The second.
Yep. And I'm going to end this podcast a little different with Philippians 4:6. This will go good because of it being a new year and all that. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and by supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. Hope you all have a great week.